What's up, scholars? Welcome back to another video. Today I am doing my mid-year wrap-up because it is the end of June. I cannot believe it is already halfway through the year. But I'm going to kind of talk about what I've been reading, watching, all of that during this first part of 2023 before the latter half comes, because it's going to be so much more. The last half of this year I'm going to be reading a lot. I am going to be watching a lot. So before it kind of gets all lost on me and I forget like what I've consumed in the first half of the year because of the end of the year, I'm gonna just sit here and talk about what I've enjoyed so much, about what I've read and watched during this first half of the year. And I will just start out by saying One Piece dominated my entire reading and watching list. Like, I consumed so much of One Piece in the first half of the year. I didn't even realize how much I had consumed of the story of One Piece until I went back and looked at where I started at the beginning of the year versus where I am now, and there was so much. But that's okay. That's okay. We're having a fabulous time. But this is going to be just a short, quick video just to kind of let y'all know what I've been reading. If y'all have any recommendations for me, or if y'all like anything that y'all see that I've read, we can chat about it down below. I would love to have more conversations with y'all. So let's go ahead and get into this. So I'm going to start with the books I've read. Now, a lot of these books, well, not a lot of them, some of them are more classic literature, just because I've been needing to do a lot more classic literature reading. And to start it off, I'll say I got a whole pile here. I did reread The Great Gatsby. This is a wonderful little edition full of a whole lot of extra notes on the back about the book. I reread The Great Gatsby, just reminded of how good of a story it was, that Fitzgerald really does craft a wonderful story. And I was also reminded, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I was also reminded how much I don't like Daisy. Daisy Buchanan. I don't like her. Like, don't get me wrong, she's a great character, but I can admit she's a great character without having to like her. Gatsby is Gatsby, so there's that. I don't have anything else to say about him. But rereading this, I remembered when I first read this story, I was in high school when I first read this story, that there was something off about Daisy, that just kind of like off-putting about her to me. And when I read this book again, I was reminded why. She's not my favorite character, but she's a good, a well-written character once you really kind of like dig into it, which is what I had to do reading this story. So if y'all ever want to try out a classic, The Great Gatsby is always a good place to start. It is a wonderful book that I would highly recommend. The next on my list is more of, I don't know if this is considered a classic, I think it is, but it's not technically a book per se, it is a play. It is a 3-act play called A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. Wow, do I love this play. I was able to read it in a day. Like, it's a very short play, just 3 acts. I was able to read it in a day. I love this play. I enjoy plays. I grew up watching plays. I performed in plays when I was younger. I enjoy plays. There's so much you can do in dramas, and even 1-act plays to 3-act plays. There's so much you can do with them to bring characters to life. And looking at this play, there's so much here. There's so much undertones in this play. You can just imagine how these characters would perform this on stage, how they interact. There's so many different ways you can take Nora, the main character. You can take her character, her position, just her whole personality. You can take it in so many different ways. The way she responds, the way she acts. Her whole character arc is fantastic. This has definitely been one of like the highlights of my year, and it's one I just read in May. Yeah, just last month I read this and I love it. I love Nora. This play is so good because of some of the nuances to her character, the facades that she puts up, this persona that she pretends to be until something happens, and I dropped it. But yes, this play, I love it. I love Nora's character. I've actually been digging really deeply into her character, probably more so than most people would, but I have been digging into her character a lot and just enjoying every minute of it. I really love Nora's character. There's just so much here, so much in this little play. And I would love to see this play like on a stage. I would love to go see this play. If people even do this play anymore. I don't know if they do this anymore, but I would love to see this play. With that being said, Nora's character is definitely an interesting one because she is very good at playing into the idea of a doll's house. She's very good at playing up this doll persona, and the way she interacts with her husband and her friend, and even what you would consider to be the antagonist of the play, how she interacts with all of them are so very different, and it's so interesting to see how this persona kind of cracks and fades away as time passes through the play, and the decisions she makes, how she comes to conclusions is very fascinating. It's just a really good play, and I really enjoy Nora's character. There's a lot of really particular tiny details about her character that I just really enjoyed. So if you want something really quick to read, I would suggest this play. Like, even for a play, it's not super long. This play is 72 pages. So it is a very quick read. It's a very good read. If you're not familiar with how plays are written out in this format, it can take a little bit of adjustment to kind of get used to it, but I think it's worth it. This is a really good little play, and for someone who just really enjoys like drama and stage plays, this scratched an itch with me that I was desperately needing this year. The next one is definitely more of just a personal preference. For me, definitely personal preference. Not a lot of people are gonna want to read this, I know, but I just had to bring it up just to satisfy the nerdiness in me and my own personal likes for reading. This is definitely a educational book that I had to read, but also found that I enjoyed reading this much more than I was expecting to, and it is The Origins and Developments of the English Language. Definitely not a read for everyone. I'm sure not everyone is wanting to know the origins of the English language, but I enjoyed it. It comes with a beautiful little chart of the phonetic alphabet. Really showing y'all my interests here on an educational level. I really enjoyed this book. I'm not going to talk about it too long because I know this book probably is not going to interest a lot of people, but as someone who's an English major, a book like this really puts into perspective the English language, how it's developed, how it formed, and where it came from. It's very interesting to me. It's very fascinating to me. I love learning more about all of the origins of the English language, how it developed from Latin to Old English to Middle English and everything in between. It was fascinating to me. I know it's not going to be a book for everyone, but I just wanted to give it just a little bit of screen time. So now on to more modern books and works of fiction. I have started reading Babel. I've seen this recommended on so many people's pages. I've seen them talk about this book a lot. And my brother and sister finally picked up this book and they've read it, so I decided to hop in and buy it, and I've started reading Babel so far. And as someone who, again, is an English major, I've been told that this book will definitely be a wonderful read for me. So I'm very much looking forward to it. What I've read so far is very interesting. I'm not too far deep into the story yet. I like her style of writing. I like how she puts things, how she writes her prose, and how she writes her dialogue so far. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where she goes with this story, because it can go, especially with the premise, this could go in so many different ways. So I'm really excited to read Babel. Another book that I have recently started, I probably should keep, just to one book and just only read one book, but we're not doing that here. But I have also started Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings. I am very fascinated by this concept. I know I am jumping into a major series with Brandon Sanderson. I know he's got a lot of works out, and I'm very excited to finally start my journey for Brandon Sanderson And so far, what I've read of The Way of Kings is really cool, really fascinating, very lore heavy. I've been told this. My brother has also read this book, and he told me just to kind of like buckle in, because a lot of this book is going to be a lot of lore, and it's going to be very expository. So I've prepared myself for that, and from what I've read so far, it is already very lore heavy, but it's not daunting to me yet. I don't know if it's gonna turn daunting to me just because I am still towards the beginning of the book, but I am enjoying it so far. The characters, I can't quite get a grasp on yet. That's again because I'm so early in the book, but these characters are very fascinating to me. One thing that I do think is really cool about how Sanderson starts this is he has a prelude and then a prologue before you actually get into the story, and that's such an interesting choice. I don't see many authors doing that, and I think it's really cool because it gives him an opportunity to present two different things that I know are going to come into play later on, whether it's in this book or in another book. What we see in the prelude is going to be very important to probably the lore, I'm guessing, is what I've gathered so far. The prelude is more to the lore and the world building of this book, and I believe the prologue is going to be more of the building of characters and the character work of this book, and maybe even books to come. But it's a really fascinating way to start off a book, start off a series, is to have both of those back to back, with the idea of knowing not everyone will read the prelude and the prologue. So it's a very interesting choice, but I think it was a good choice. I like that he has those there. I like both of them, and I'm very interested to see how it ties in, because it does pique the interest of your readers to wonder where it's all going to come into play. But I am enjoying The Way of Kings so far. I'm very interested to see where it goes, and I can't wait to continue reading to learn more about this world that he's built and the characters that are within it. So now we're going on to manga. I read the entire Demon Slayer manga this year. I binged it and I've reread it about 3 or 4 times now. I found it really good. I really enjoyed the Demon Slayer manga, and I know season 3 just finished up and people have been talking about it. I think Ufotable did a wonderful job with the anime. I know people have like had their discrepancies with it, and they're complaining about like maybe small like minute details, but I think Ufotable did a wonderful job with what they were given and what they needed to do in this season. I think they did a great job. But Demon Slayer is such a good story. I said it in my review of the Demon Slayer manga that this story does so great with characters, and the character work and the major themes of the story is where it shines the best. It has a lot of wonderful themes that tie into each and every character, and the characters are so great. I honestly really enjoyed these characters, especially our main boy Tanjiro. His arc from the beginning of the story all the way to the end of the story, how much he's grown, how much he's sacrificed, how much he's just personally gone through, and how he continues to stay strong, and how he keeps going forward, keeps moving forward. It's so inspiring. I love main characters like him, where the kindness is genuine. It's not off-putting. It doesn't seem like it's fake or unrealistic. Like, he is just a genuinely kind person who will still do whatever it takes to fulfill his mission. He will do what needs to be done, but still have this kindness and empathy for certain people that he is able to kind of relate to. This goes for both humans and demons, and I really love him as a main character. The side cast is amazing. I love Zenitsu, Inosuke. All of the Hashiras have a very special place in my heart. Genya, Kano, and even some of the demons, even Muzan captures your attention whenever you're reading the story, if you look into it deep enough, and I really like that. Overall, I thought it was a great manga. I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people will just want to watch the anime because Ufotable is doing an amazing job with like the animation and everything, and the voice actors are on point. I watched the English sub, so the Japanese dubbed version. I think the voice actors do a stellar job, and Ufotable is doing a knockout job with that animation. But the manga is something special in its own. If you want to read the manga, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is wonderful. The other manga I have been reading and keeping up with is, of course, Bungo Stray Dogs. I have been talking about this so much because it's one of my favorite mangas. I just love this story. Season 4 ended this year, so that's one of the ones I watched, and season 5 will be coming. I am not ready for it because of where we're at in the manga. The manga is getting so good, but it's so soul crushing at the same time. Bungo Stray Dogs does such a great job with the complexities of characters. That is where it shines the most. I know people get lost with what the plot is and all of that. The plot is there, and it's once you see how it all ties together, it is easy to follow. You just have to really dig into it and figure it out before you can understand it. And then once you figure out what the plot is, you're like, oh, this makes sense, I'm following it now. But Bungo shines with characters, and in the manga they're doing so much character work, and it's amazing to see, but it crushes my soul. I've cried so much with this manga, especially the manga, and all of the light novels attached to it are great as well. I really hope, this is just personal preference, but I really hope for season 5 they're not doing any of the light novels, that they're just going to go straight into the anime, or straight into where season 4 ended off and just continue straight from there, because there's not enough time to bring out any of the other light novels into like 2 or 3 episodes while trying to fill up the space of what the manga, or of where the manga is. There's not enough time. But I'm enjoying Bungo Stray Dogs. The manga, in my opinion, is definitely better than the anime, but the voice actors in the anime are just stellar. Again, they are amazing. I usually only watch Japanese dub, so I'm listening to the Japanese voice actors, and they do such a fantastic job. It hits so much more when you listen to them act certain scenes. But the manga still it's so special. The manga is so good. I love it, and I'm ready to continue getting my soul crushed by this manga. Asagiri does a fantastic job at letting you get attached to all of these characters, and it's a big cast of characters that you're getting attached to, and he does a wonderful job with them, especially the main cast of characters. I am caught up on the Bungo Stray Dogs manga. I read it every month or 2 whenever it comes out, and the recent chapters have been hitting a little bit differently recently, and it's wonderful, but it hurts. Again, if y'all want to read the manga, I would highly, highly recommend it. There are definitely some changes if you've seen the anime. If you go to the manga, there's going to be a lot of differences, but I think it's worth it. It's so good. I really enjoy the manga. So I'm going to be getting into the anime I've watched, but after I list some of the anime, I've got to talk about One Piece at the end of this video, because I've watched a lot. I've read a lot. But before I get into that, I at least want to list the animes that I've watched before I talk about One Piece, because that's going to be like the rest of the video. So, anime I've been watching this year, I watched Tokyo Revengers when it came out because I'd already read the manga, so I knew what to expect. I think they did a good job with it, and I'm ready for season 3. I know that's going to be a very emotional arc, so I'm ready to see how they handle it, to see how well they adapt it from the manga. I did watch My Hero Academia season 6, and the way it wrapped up, there was some really good moments. Even though I've read the manga for that, there were some moments that really got to me whenever I watched it, like Uraraka's speech. It got me. They did a really good job with season 6, and I really enjoyed it. Another one I watched was Blue Lock. I had no idea Blue Lock even existed before, and now I am hooked. I am hooked. I love Haikyuu. Haikyuu is my favorite sports anime so far, but Blue Lock Blue Lock's coming for it. It's trying to come for Haikyuu. And I don't know if it'll reach Haikyuu, but it's creeping up there. It's on the same level as Kuroko's basketball right now. That's kind of where it's at. Maybe like inching a little bit above. It's close call. But I love Blue Lock. It's been so much fun and I enjoy it so much. I watched Tomo-chan as a girl. If y'all haven't seen my review for that, I did a quick little review over that. I enjoyed it a lot. I loved it. Such a pure and wholesome anime. And I also watched Buddy Daddies. And I know it was like anime original. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with that anime. It did make me tear up a few times. It got me a few times. I enjoyed Buddy Daddies. It was a good show and I enjoyed it. And the opening theme song was fantastic, so definitely no complaints there. Now, I did watch Demon Slayer Season 3 and Bungo Stray Dogs Season 4, so I won't give my thoughts on that too much just because I've read the manga, so I knew what to expect. But I will say, again, Ufotable just killed it with Demon Slayer's adaptation. They did great, especially that last episode. I knew what was coming and it still got me. That's how you know they do good with an adaptation, is when you know what's coming and it still gets you. But I'm also watching Why Raeliana Ended Up in the Duke's Mansion. I know I think it's a manhwa? Yeah, it was a manhwa that was adapted. I am enjoying it so much. I love shoujo. I love that type of story, and it gets to me every time, and I just enjoy it. I can just sit there cheesing the entire time and just eat it up. I love it. I love shoujo. I love these types of romance stories, and they're doing it right. They're doing it right. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not all the way caught up because I was out on vacation for a little bit, but I will be catching up on it. I am enjoying that one. And another shoujo that just blew me away, that I have just fallen completely in love with, is My Love Story with Yamada. I think the full title is My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999. I think that's the full title. But oh my gosh, listen. I love that anime, and I've heard that the manga is even better. I will be going to the manga soon because the season just wrapped up. It was so good. Akane is such a wholesome, pure person. I love her so much. She is such a great main character, and how aware she is, how funny she is, how caring. She is just a beautiful main character to follow. And then you get Yamada, who is just, he is the greenest flag I have seen since Kazehaya from Kimi ni Todoke. The greenest flag I've seen in a romance in such a long time, and I'm loving it. Their interactions are great. I love how he cares for her, how he gets attached to her, the way they talk, the conversations they have. It's all so good, and their dynamic is so amazing. I love it. It's perfect. It's one of the best romances I've seen in such a long time, and I am enjoying it so much. And you have some amazing side characters. Ita is golden. He is golden retriever energy, but a protector, and I love it. He's a great character. I love Ita. He is such a great side character who is able to understand the dynamics between Yamada and Akane, and he is there for it 100% to kind of help set things up, to talk to both of them and work through things and be there for them. I love him. And all the other side characters that we've met so far have been really good. And they've had really good development from, like, especially Runa, I'd say, had the best development as far as side characters go, with how she started off against Akane and how she slowly became Akane's friend, how they kind of butted into like this older sister, younger sister dynamic. I really enjoyed that arc for her. the whole thing, the whole anime is just wonderful. It's one I just finished and I will be watching again just to enjoy it, and I am going to be running to the manga because I have to read more about this. One of the best romances I've seen in a while, and I'm so pleased with it. And of course, the last anime I am going to be talking about that I've been watching is Oshinoko. This is just no surprise. A lot of people have been buzzing around this anime, and they're doing such a fantastic job. I love it. I love the idea of being in the show business. The whole show business portion of the show really reminds me of Skip Beat, and Skip Beat is like my top favorite shoujo manga, so that definitely holds a very good connection for me, so I really enjoy that. But the characters are great. Aqua is such a fascinating main character. The energy he gives off, his plans, his manipulations, I really enjoy it. I am enjoying it. The side characters are great. I love all the interactions, the technicalities, how deep they go into show business, how it can ruin somebody's life, how it can help people. They're doing such a good job with this show. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. And I hope it gets a season 2 because I want to know more. I want to see more because we haven't even met the father yet. And I need to know. I need to know who that is. But if you haven't watched Oshinoko, I would highly recommend you go watch it because it is fantastic. But now, of course, we're getting to One Piece. Again, like I said at the beginning of this video, One Piece consumed most of my reading and watching this year. I started out this year and I went and checked. I went back and checked. I started out this year in January on Long Ring Longland. Long Ring Longland, all the way at the beginning of Water 7 Saga. The beginning of the Water 7 Saga. I went from Long Ring Longland to post-war in 6 months. That's bizarre to me. A lot of people probably read faster or watched faster than I did, but that, for me, that's just a lot. That feels like so much for me. And I counted the manga chapters from 303 at the beginning of Long Ring Longland, all the way to 597 at the end of post-war. I consumed all of that. And I watched the anime episodes, excluding the fillers, from 207 to 516 anime episodes. That's a lot. That's a lot. And it was a lot of story. From Water 7 Saga to the Thriller Bark to the Summit War Saga and how long that one was. I mean, that's a lot of story. I've learned so much. I've gotten even more attached to the characters than I ever was before. The story keeps expanding and growing and getting even more interesting. And I think I don't praise Oda enough for how well he keeps the reader's attention, because with a story this long, it is so easy to have severe dips where you lose a lot of interest and people are like, well, I'm not really learning anything, I'm not really gaining much from these characters anymore, and they kind of back away. But Oda does such a good job of maintaining that interest and keeping characters, like each character gets a moment to shine throughout the arcs, that it keeps you constantly engaged and you don't ever back away. You don't ever lose any interest. The world building continues, the plot continues to thicken, and the characters continue to grow and show growth and just be amazing, and you're emotionally attached to all of them, and it hurts when anything happens to them. And even if all the characters don't shine all at once, that's a good thing. Like in Water 7, you really got to see the dynamic with Usopp and Luffy and Robin. They shined so much. And then going into Enies Lobby, I mean, do I have to say it? Like, Enies Lobby, you get to see those character moments, and they may not all shine at once, but each character gets their little moment to just shine and do their work. And then you get like the big character moment, like with Robin or with Luffy or Usopp. Like, you have those big character moments followed up by these little shining moments from all the other characters, and it works so cohesively together. And then you move on to like Thriller Bark, and obviously Zoro shines the brightest in Thriller Bark. And then you get to the Summer War Saga with like Sawbody and Amazon Lily and Impel Down, where obviously the most shining character is Buggy, and Buggy alone. He does his best work in Impel Down. And then of course you have Marineford and Whitebeard and Ace and Luffy and Jinbei and Crocodile and Buggy and so many others. And then you get to post-war, and it's Luffy and Jinbei that's shown so brightly for me. Ace had his beacon of light. He had a lot of shining moments, but it was Luffy and Jinbei. And it's like, all of those, it's like, yes, those are great character moments. These characters have time to shine. But all throughout that, we are learning more about the world. We're learning more about the Will of D, the true history, and the plot about the world government, and so much more. It's just, it's so good. It's been so much, but it's been amazing. I've loved every bit of my time through One Piece this year. From even last year when I first started it up to this point, I have loved every bit of it. As painful as it is, as much as One Piece has hurt me, I love every bit of it. I've had my moments where it's like, I'm not as big of a fan of this, but it wasn't enough to like draw me away from the story. It still was like, yes, it wasn't my favorite, like Long-Ring Longland wasn't my favorite, but I was never disengaged with the story because it was enough to keep me there. There was still enough character moments, there was still enough plot and lore and world building to keep me engaged, so I never backed away from the story. And I think Oda does a very good job with that. I've loved One Piece. Obviously, I mean, a lot of what I talk about on this channel is just One Piece at this point, so y'all obviously know my love for it and for these characters. But looking back and just seeing how much I've consumed of One Piece in the past 6 months baffles me, and it makes me excited to continue with the rest of the story to see. I don't know if I doubt I'm gonna get caught up by the end of the year, but that would be really nice, because then that would be great that I could just sit there and theorize with the rest of y'all. But even if I don't, I'm really excited. One Piece has been such a great journey. I said, I don't remember what video it was, that One Piece has risen into my top 10 animes and mangas. It's in the top 5 now, for sure. It's in the top 5, creeping towards top 3, if not already in top 3. And that's impressive. That's an impressive feat, because I have a very solid top 5 that has not budged for a while, and One Piece just kind of like intruded and took its spot all on its own. But it's just, that just goes to show how great of a story it is, and I've really enjoyed it. I've loved my time with One Piece. I love communicating with y'all about One Piece, talking to y'all. It's been great, and I am so excited to see where it continues from here, because there's still so much to discover, and I am excited. But that is all for this video. That is what I've read and watched, both books, manga, and anime, for the first half of the year. This latter half of the year, I have no idea what I'm going to be reading besides finishing up the books I've started, and of course, more One Piece. But other than that, I'm excited to see what else kind of comes my way and that I watch or read and seem to enjoy. But if y'all have seen something that I talked about that either y'all have read or want to read, let me know down in the comments. We can have a conversation about it. If there's an anime that y'all have watched that I've also watched, let me know. I want to talk about more people with this, because it's so much fun. I enjoy the storytelling of these mangas and animes so much, and the books I've read. I've really enjoyed the storytelling in them so far. Other than that, look for my schedule for July. It should be coming out soon, so you can be up to date on what I'm going to be posting next month. it should be on my channel within the next few days, so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, thank y'all all so much for watching, and I will see you next time, scholars. Bye!